let's pray that sister
Yes.
is
Yes.
okay,
Definitely.
you know. But we still maintain our integrity to those who we have called.
Okay.
Um, we're going to talk. So how are you? Are you okay?
Whoa, you
First and
know that was
foremost,
sort of a
I know, and you just look so beautiful. You just spruced up yourself quickly. I was like, yeah, queen mode, people.
I didn't look like this 10 minutes ago.
Yeah. So yeah, what we're talking about today is
Mother.
being a daughter, and deciding to have no contact with your mother for your own sanity. Now, this is something that we struggle with because it's not something that you do, you know, within our tribe, within our community. It's just not something that you do. There's also religious factors attached to the reasons why you are supposed to, you know, honor your mother as the ultimate source and life energy. However, when people, you know, or daughters decide not to speak to their mother, sometimes the stigma can be that the daughter has made that decision based on the fact that she's got issues, and the mother's never looked upon as her having issues, or, you know, projecting a level of emotional, physical, or mental abuse onto that daughter, and the daughter has made a conscious, mature decision to step back, whether that be forever or for a time period, is a different factor. However, it's time to break the stigma around not having contact, deciding not to have contact with your mother, and also recognizing that those women who do make that decision need support. In terms of us as a community and us as leaders and queens and goddesses, and, you know, us who have the knowledge, it's time for us to share that the information and the self-care strategies around this issue. Nobody's life is the same. You know, ideally we want to have a mom and a dad who we love dearly. However, things happen, and it's not about projecting those the hurt and the pain back onto those people or anyone else for that matter. It's about us being confident that we've made a conscious decision, and we will take care of ourselves according to that. Now, me personally, I don't have contact with my mom to keep me sane, and for various reasons. I, in my perception, in my opinion, suffered a level of emotional abuse and mental abuse, which actually opened me up to experience some really difficult things in my life, like child abuse, rape, you know, attack, mental health, different things attracting negative relationships. Now, I'm not saying it's her fault. However, that level of abuse that I endured made me vulnerable to various negative situations. And then another factor around that is this: I didn't realize that I had a toxic relationship with my mother due to lack of information and lack of support and lack of self-awareness. In my community, it's the norm to continue to have toxic relationships with our family members. So, and if you can't hold on to those relationships, then you are the issue, you know. So you, even when you do walk away from those situations, for me personally, when I did have periods where I didn't speak to my mom, I didn't spend time healing. What I'd done was spent time feeling guilty, for example, one thing that kept me attached to the relationship and fed my Stockholm. Stockholm is when you are being abused and you defend your abuser and you stay in that situation, and no matter how much other people tell you that you're in a bad situation, you still defend and are blinded to the fact that you're in a toxic situation.
Well, so yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I didn't spend time healing during that time. Now, whether that would have improved our relationship or not is another factor. However, what's important for us to know, and what I would like to, the objective of this Facebook Live is to get us, to those who make the decision not to have contact with their parents, to realize that whether that non-contact is temporary or forever, it's about you taking that time out to give yourself the self-care that you need. Because one of the things that stopped me from not cutting contact with my mom, so one of the things that stopped me cutting contact with my mom was when I used to practice Islam, and one of the beliefs is that the heavens lie at the foot of the mother. So I used to literally chant that mantra. So when I used to do my salah, that would be one of my mantras, because my relationship with my mum was so difficult. In order for me to stay connected to her, I used to chant, the heavens lie at the foot of a mother, the heavens lie at the foot of a mother. And I would always go back to that toxic situation. You know, I know that Christianity also shares
mother and father,
the same kind of sentiments.
It's all about that, isn't it? Honor thy mother and father. And because it's biblical as well, it makes it appear like it's a law. But I'm going to let you carry on and I'll get to my stuff, you know what I mean? But yeah, it's scriptural, and people are very attached to scriptures, and so that dictates life for them, you know.
Yeah. Whereas we have to be aware of the psychological damages that have been done, which make the psychological damages that have been done, that are beliefs and stigmas, make right or make seem right. You know, we have to know when to separate the two, because we can spend our lives focusing on toxic situations and being in negative situations rather than healing and
well, Serena, you know my journey. Yeah. You know my journey because we're friends. And you know my journey was that I'm first born generation in the UK, born in 1961 in this country, and my parents came from Jamaica. Now, my parents already had a volatile relationship before they came to the UK. And so they've come, well, my father came first, and actually he didn't want to send for my mother. He was going to send for another woman, but she was pregnant by someone else. So my father decided, I've got 2 children with this woman, let me send for her instead. Sends for her, and they've always been a fighting, warring couple. So the conflict that my mother had when my father disappeared when she was about 3 months pregnant, for a while me and my mum were great until I think the age 2, and that's when, I don't know, because she found out my father had another child. So what happened was all the anger and hate towards my father became mine. That's where our conflict started. My mother. So I was a battered child at the hands of my mother for over 10 years. I was stabbed, broken ribs, lots of head injuries, lots of damage, lots of pain. And the thing about it was that I had younger brothers and sisters that were born in this country, because I was the eldest that was born here. And they weren't treated like that. And it was key because of my father. And so I was abused because of the hate. that she had for my father. And then plus I was sexually abused by her partner, molested at the age of 3 and then sexually abused at the age of 8. So that broke our relationship down. So for me, I can relate when you speak about not talking to your mother, because our relationship was so broken, so absolutely broken, that when whilst I had a call come through, our relationship was so broken that I couldn't even see me in anything that I did. I didn't see the beauty of me. I didn't see the joy of myself. It was never reinforced as well. You know what I mean? And the funny thing was, whenever I went out, people would say, "Oh, you look like your mother." And my mother would be like, "Don't tell her that, she'll kill herself." Now, I look I look at myself. I didn't recognize it before, but I look at myself now, and my mom's there. That's my mom's face there. Yeah, but she never saw that. And the thing was, we had years of battle, because I think I was a challenging child as well, because I knew that she didn't like me. So I would challenge that because I didn't have anyone else. But in the challenge as well, you know, you spoke about the Stockholm syndrome. I recognized no one else as well.
Yes.
Because my father wasn't in my life. He wasn't bothered about me. He was getting on with his own. So there I was growing up with brothers and sisters that were not my father's children, and growing up with stepfathers who were just taking liberties, and everyone took liberties because mum gave them the license. And so for me, the energy kept going. And so everywhere I went, I would experience this lack of love, this emptiness, because that energy was started and created by my mother. It had gone on for so long, to the point that I actually I messed up in my life too, and ended up, my children, we ended up in conflict, you know. And it was many years. I think I'd got into my 50s, and that's when I decided to forgive my mother. You know, we could run this story on, because I'm 50, so we ain't gonna speak 50 odd years. But I'm telling you that it was a battle. Yeah. Because I didn't have anyone. I was backward and forward to my mom. And as a child, I wanted to please my mom, because inside of me, I felt like I had done something wrong, why she didn't like me, why she treated me like that. I ended up becoming a people pleaser, simply because I wanted to please my mother. And so, go on school trips, and I actually neglect to buy myself ice cream and sweets just to buy a souvenir for my mother to bring it back home, just so that she would love me. And growing up, I felt this lack of love. And if you don't feel the love that you're meant to feel as a child, what will happen is you will run in the wrong direction, seeking that love. And so for me personally, every relationship I ended up in, it was seeking the love that I wanted from parents, but predominantly mother, because you feel in life, mothers are supposed to love you. Your mom's supposed to be the one who knows. I mean, you're on your mother's breast if your mother breastfed you. So you would think, right, the place where I come from and the being breastfed, of course, mummies are supposed to be loving and kind, but no, my mother actually at times seemed as if she wanted to kill me. And if you get my, you would read in there, numerous times I ended up in hospital, numerous times, even now as a grown-up, I still have the effects of injuries and the damage that she did. But like I said, I got to a place where I was sick and tired of being angry at her and absolutely hating her, because I recognized that the more hate I projected towards her, it was hate towards myself. And I found a place, I don't even know, it was obviously because I was seeking that. And it was funny, while you were speaking, Serena, what came to my mind was in Japan, when they have broken items, what they do is they don't try to fix it invisibly. What they do is they fix it with gold. So this broken becomes
Okay.
beautiful, right?
That's amazing. That is
This
absolutely
broken
amazing.
thing becomes beautiful. It's not hidden, the cracks and the breaks. It's fixed with gold. So it takes on something whole new, right? And this is what I did with the relationship with my mother. First, in order to see my mother, because she was not a happy person either. And that's simply because she wasn't happy with her own life. Her mother died when she was 6 years old. So she had no idea of how to be a mother. So I started looking at her from a different perspective. I started...
When you started hearing a story.
And I actually reran the story and started to put everything in its place like a jigsaw. And I realized that she was damaged. She was abused too. She was damaged in so many ways. And so I started looking at this woman who gave her power away to men. I started rewriting the narrative because I was looking at it just from one perspective. And I realized that there was more to this story. It wasn't a simple journey, so I may simplify it in what I'm saying, but I have to, because like I say, 50 odd plus, and I can't carry the story in 50 years, but I'm simplifying it as best as I can. And I look back at her life and I realized that she wasn't happy, so she projected her unhappiness on me. And so I rewrote the narrative, and what I started to do when I started learning about my mind, my body, and my spirit as a whole, I started recognizing that I had the power. I had the power to send love to her, even though she didn't feel happy and she didn't love herself. I had a time when I didn't speak to her at all. I wouldn't go to any family occasions, no christenings, no birthdays, no nothing, right? And I just didn't want to interact with her. I just didn't want to see her because I'd gone to court, and what had happened again was insult to injury. I had found out that she knew about my sexual abuse, and that killed me even more. Thinking that she didn't know was bad enough, but actually realizing that she knew, that absolutely stripped me. And I was about 48 years old then when I found out, when we went to court, and that really hurt me. And I just went crazy. And I told her, I never ever want to see you again, and the next time I see you, you'll be dead. You know what I mean? You'll be in a coffin if I ever even come to the funeral. Yeah, I went crazy because I couldn't believe that a mother would know that her child was sexually abused, and it was just a lot to take in. But then, like I said, the stage where it was mind, body, spirit, and I started... Actually, the first place I started was recognizing that, like I said, I was powerful, that I could send love to her. So I've been sending this love. I wasn't seeing her, but I was sending love anyway. And someone say, who is she, Serena? My name's Audrey Joe.
Yeah. She's a phenomenal woman. Her name's Audrey Josie. She's the forgiveness godmother. She is an author and award-winning workshop facilitator. She is a diamond within the community, within all communities, and she's a diamond within the community and the tribe of those who are a part of the transatlantic slave diaspora. So that's Audrey Josie.
You know, talking about something so serious, and I'm laughing, but I got myself to that place where I chose not to take my story personal any longer. And so, you know what was funny, Serena? What was really, really, really funny was that I sent love to my mother, and I also do chakra energies. So I was sending pink light of healing to my mother. What happened was I'd gone to Jamaica. You know this one. I went to Jamaica because uncle, who was 100, had passed away. And my youngest sister said she was going to pay for me to go on this trip. So anyway, I'm in Jamaica, bury my uncle, and start writing and meeting people who know my mum, because it was an area, both parents came from the same area. And I met someone who knew my mother when she was a young woman. And he said, oh, I knew your mum when she was a young girl, and she was lovely, she was nice. And I was like, my mum was a nice person. You know, that was a bit of a shock. I never actually saw her as a nice person. And I listened to his story and I thought, you know what? And when I get back home, I'm going to visit her. I'll speak to her. Anyway, whilst on my trip, I found out that it wasn't actually my sister who paid for my trip. It was my mother. My sister.
Oh, wait. So after all these years of not speaking to her, she then invested in your journey.
She invested in my journey to go to bury my uncle. And the thing was, it was my uncle why my mother came here, because my uncle was living here first. He brought his brother here. And it was my uncle who suggested to my father to bring my mother here to the UK. So my mother had the greatest respect for my uncle. So it was at Christmas when he died. So I didn't actually have the money. And so I know she paid for it. So it was a bit of a shock. So come back to the UK. Yeah, back to the UK. And I decide that I'm going to go and visit my mum. When I get back here, I find out that she had a fall and she was in some nursing home. Weirdly, in Smithwick, Birmingham here, UK. And the weirdest thing was, a few weeks before I'd gone to Jamaica, I'd gone past this nursing home and I'd looked at it and thought, oh, that's new.
And kind of noticed it
while I was on the bus. I looked at because I've been in that area for over 30 years. Looked down at it, and it happened to be the same nursing home. And I'm thinking, there's some divine intervention happening here. There's something going on.
Yeah, your spirit's
going on. So I've got in the nursing home, walked in to see my mom, looked in the dining room, see this little lady. I'm like, she looks up and she sees me, and everyone's eating lunch, and she's, I'll never see her. She's crying, and I'm like, Mom, let's come out, I'll wheel a chair out and take it to her. And I said to her, first thing, Mom, I forgive you. I recognize that you gave your power away to men. I understand it, and I forgive you. I said, Mom, I've been sending love to you, and I've been sending healing light, pink healing light. She said, I saw pink in my room one day. I was like, this is for real. This is for real. You know, it empowered me. It made me know that the work that I was doing, it wasn't in vain. And I just started loving my mother from a different place. Because I chose healing, because I chose to forgive. And out of choosing that, this was what was born. Because I chose to release all that toxic energy. I chose not to hold on to it. I released myself from it. And Serena, honestly, it was the greatest gift I ever had in life. And the great gift was, my mother passed away last year. It would actually have been her birthday in a couple of days' time, and she chose to pass away. She passed away in March of the month of her birthday, the end of March. And the thing about it was, while my mom was there in transition, I went to her because she couldn't speak, she was just laying there, and I whispered in her ear, journey on in peace. I forgive you. You know, because I wanted her to recognize the power of forgiveness that came inside of me that I wanted to share with her. You know, I wanted her to forgive whatever she was angry about as well. I wanted her to, in her mind's eye, wherever she was, to recognize that if you've got any unforgiveness issues, Mom, forgive as well the way I forgive you. You know, I forgave her, Serena, and it was the most empowering thing. So when I think about forgiveness, I think about the Japanese bowl that was broken, that was mended with gold. And that's what I am. So I'm still broken in places, but I'm mended with gold. You know, and I recognize the power of forgiveness. And so in turn, that caused me to start speaking about forgiveness. Something downloaded inside of me, and all of a sudden everything about forgiveness made sense. It wasn't actually about letting the person off the hook, but it was about releasing your soul from this thing that ties you up. Now, forgiveness doesn't necessarily have to be that my story. You can forgive and let people still move on in their journeys, because not every situation is going to end up like me and my mother, you know, because everyone has a different story. You can love from a distance. It doesn't have to head on.
Yeah. Because what you're saying is that you have to allow it to go through the stages, and whatever the outcome is, then that's the outcome. You can't say, oh, well, I'm going to, you know, not have contact in the hopes that one day she'll realize what she's done and then I'll forgive her. It's more about deciding not to have contact, get on with your healing, and deal with how that energy expresses itself within the cosmos towards that person, and or anyone for that matter. And then it depends on how that your relationship turns out from there. I mean, even for me, I don't hate my mum anymore. I did go through a stage of not knowing that I was in a space of hate. Then I went through the stage of knowing that I was in the space of hate. Then I went through a stage of forgiveness. Through me, like you said, piecing her puzzle together and looking at it from a perspective of, okay, she's a woman. She's gone through certain things that I know about, and she's obviously gone through certain things that I don't know about. Whether those things are attached to me or not, I don't know. I don't know to what extent. However, what I do know is that I'm a woman, you know. What I do know is that I have been exposed to certain things, and I know the effect that that can have on you, and I know the level of strength that you have to have in order to not allow those things to determine your relationships and how you interact through life. And also a big part of it is understanding how much being violated in those types of ways can affect your relationship with your own children. For example, even I have a daughter, and when I had a daughter, that's when I realized how much pain I was actually in towards my own mother. My son did not bring that out of me. It was my daughter that brought that out of me, which I give thanks for. You know, and I had to do a level of completion and look at how I interact with my daughter. Was I interacting with my daughter the way that my mum was interacting with my daughter, and be able to catch myself, you know?
There's a question here. What is the meaning of a single mom? What is
okay, so the meaning of a single mother is a woman who is no longer in a partnership with the father of her children. So in a partnership in terms of you know, bringing up those children together and making the decisions together, what's best for those children. The partnership in terms of paying the bills and setting goals in life and achieving those goals. Anybody who's not doing that in the form of with a man, you know, the father of their children being there, then you're a single mom, basically. And because of our tribe and, you know, what we went through in terms of being a part of the transatlantic slave diaspora, we have endured a lot of pain. We've taken on different beliefs. We have, you know, things that have become our norm, which means that now when you our norm is now matriarchal homes, and that's something that we need to we're looking at embracing at the moment and seeing it as a more powerful thing than a disempowering thing, because a lot of, you know, even in the feminist movements, the Asian women and the white women are actually fighting for what we already have. Now, the way we have reclaimed our queen state or our goddess state, it has been very, you know, distressing and horrific, volatile and disgusting and bad. However, the outcome is still put us in a position where women can learn from us, you know, within that struggle. Obviously, we have to learn from each other. However, us being single parents, working and having to look after children is our norm. Pay gaps and things like that, that's our norm. And we have learned to survive and strive and build within that infrastructure phenomenally, you know? So yeah, so that's what a single mom is, and it's not anything to be ashamed of. It's something to embrace. So, you know, that's just how our tribe works at the moment. However that changes or not is another topic. But a single mom is the matriarch of the household.
And we grow, we know, I mean, in our community, if we know 100 women, and you know, we at least, you know, that 80 of them are single moms, not through any choice of their own, but you know, it's just a part of the whole circumstance and situation. But you know, also I wanted to say was that I ended up, I think I briefly said it in the conversation, that I ended up as well detached from my children through circumstance and situation, and I had to heal that pretty fast, because my desire was for it not to become legacy from myself to my children, to now I'm grandmother as well, grandchildren. So I made sure to reach my children at a different place through their hearts. You know, I had to reach them through their hearts, especially I have 3 sons, and that's biological, and I have 2 stepsons and a stepdaughter, and I had to, on my personal level, when it came to my sons, reach them from a heart place, because if I had left the situation alone, it would have been very much like how me and my mother were. And it wasn't that I hated my children or anything like that. It's just that through the conflict of splitting up with their father, they became casualties. And so what happened was, in that situation, we kind of divorced, separated, you know, but we have a great relationship now. And it's because, yet again, I had to send love to my children, and I had to speak to their hearts before I spoke to their physical bodies. You know, I had to speak into their hearts, and I had to send love into a deep place in them, because it was important to me, very, very, very important, knowing where I came from, that my children felt the love that I did have for them and do have for them. Even now they're grown up men, they know I love them. You know, I've got my eldest son, and I love you, 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 you know, to them. And I love my children. I love my grandchildren. And for me, I had to break the old pattern that was trying to surface in my world.
Yeah, because I can see how my mum's pain was transferred to me, and my battle was, you know, not allowing that to get passed on. I mean, look at our you know, our ancestors, and look at their pain was passed on. Their pain was passed on. But let's give thanks that as Black women, in the in the UK, who have grown up here, who are a part of the transatlantic slave trade, we have to give thanks at how far we've come if we're looking at it in terms of, you know, the pain being passed on. We've come a long way, where today, as women, through our ancestors, we can sit here and have this conversation on a live stream and give people understanding of how our tribe works and the kind of issues that we have and how we're working on them. That is like fantastic as far as I'm concerned. Okay, so for me, my mom, I don't know who my father is, you know, and even that, again, when you're a single mother, you are then kind of open to it can make you vulnerable in some ways, because you don't have a man around.
And I think that's the thing.
Yeah, you're open to judgment. It can make you vulnerable. It's statistically known that pedophiles prey on single mothers as well. you know. And then if within that household that mother is not is showing that nobody's accountable for the children or a particular child, that can then make that child vulnerable as well. So there's all those types of factors and things that we need to think about as a people, you know, and look at the psychological aspect of what we've had to experience and how we can correct those situations. I'm not going to give a big speech on how transatlantic slavery, but you know, maybe Amit, you want to probably read some books. I can probably suggest some books that will give you an insight into why, you know, Black people don't necessarily get to know each other before we decide to have children, why that's a big thing in our culture, you know, and understand how we became to be where we are. However, I can say that things are changing, you know, and we've come a long way since then. But to get that understanding, I guess you would need to read some books. But it's about making a conscious decision to not be in toxic relationships, regardless of whether it's with your brother, your auntie, your sister, your uncle, and your own children. I think Coach Laura Louise talked about that in her FB Live a couple of weeks ago when she was talking about her relationship with her son and having to kind of, you know, push him back to a certain extent in order for her to heal. And that's what's important here, because I find it very difficult when Mother's Day is coming up and even Christmas, New Year's, all those special occasions. I find it difficult because it grieves me to not speak to my mother. It's not that I don't want to talk to my mother in anger. I would love to talk to my mother. I'm Sabina Alnor. I am a woman of my heart chakra, you know, and I want to be able to express that. I don't like having boundaries on how much I can express my love for people, life, the universe. Do you know what I mean? I don't like that. So, but when it comes up to those points in time, like Mother's Day is coming up, I do find it difficult. And it's a case of us having these conversations in public forum so we can get understanding, number one, so we can relate to each other and, you know, get out of these toxic relationships. And realize why we're getting out of them. It's not because we're declaring ignorance or superiority. It's because you're supposed to be healing. That's why you're supposed to stop talking to that person. It's because you're supposed to be getting healing. And then how do you get that healing? How do I get that healing? I get that healing through expressing my frustration and my anger through, you know, creating platforms like this. I get healing through lighting my candles because and meditating and you know, sometimes writing letters to my mom, expressing my love, so that I don't have to enter into that toxic relationship and being vulnerable and at risk to her projecting her pain onto me again. I'll do it in different ways, on different mediums. So I hope that anybody watching this, if you are having a difficult relationship, those are two tips that I've shared with you of how to still express your love with your mother without being in contact with her.
You know, Serena, I read so many books, and as you know, I'm a Iana Van Zandt student, right? And I read so many books, and she was part of the catalyst, obviously Oprah as well, you know, a part of the catalyst of the healing. But also what I recognized is that our mothers have their own stories, and their energy is overspilled into our lives. Now, for me, I'm always of the opinion that we always, whatever circumstance we're in, we're either teaching or we're learning something. There's no two ways about it. We are teaching or we are learning. No. And what I've recognized is, recently I've been reading something called The Full Agreement, right? It's on YouTube. You can get it in audio. Listen to that. But one of the statements, disciplines in there is to not take things personal, because what happens is your mother, my mother, they were having their own experiences, and their energies went far and wide being mothers because they gave birth to us. But in essence, what was going on with them actually had nothing to do with us. Their pain. Yeah. But you know, a bear in pain, anything in pain is going to lash out. And in the lashing out, that's where we got hurt. Yeah, I mean, and So for me, what I had to do was get to a place where I detached from the pain and then dissolved it. So it's called detach and dissolve. And I love when you said about writing your mother the letter, because that was things that I did as well. I wrote my mother a forgiveness letter and then burnt it, sent it to the ethers, the creator, you know, and I did it several times. And so don't get me wrong, some of the processes I didn't do them just once. I did them over and over and over again.
Yeah, it's a long process. And the thing as well that I wanted to mention was also another art that I use is looking at her as though she's a side of me.
Okay.
So I think at one point, there's loads of stuff that my mum actually accused me of, but there was one point where she was saying that I don't deserve to know who my father is. So for when we're having conversations, that was her thing, her weapon, basically. So I was like, well, and this wasn't in a way of even asking her the question. So I would listen out for keywords that she would say when we're in conversation. And I'd take those keywords and look at where I am saying those things within myself. So when she says, you don't deserve to know who your father is, for example, after that call or after that argument or whatever it was, I would then go away and sit with my altar and say, well, where do I believe that I don't deserve to know who my father is? So rather than me attacking her and asking her how that makes sense, with my education and with my my bio memory being activated and understanding how my tribe worked in Africa, this is the beliefs. I don't need to be taught how to worship God. I don't need to be told what's religiously right or wrong, because you can't take my religion or my belief system that my ancestors had away from me. It's in my bio memory, and through this pain, the rituals and the beliefs and the integrity of my ancestors were being awoken. They were becoming alive again within me. So which was being expressed through my meditation and things like that. So with my mom, I actually gained a lot, because like I said, when she was saying things like, I don't deserve to know who my father is, with my bio memory being activated, automatically the knowledge came to me. You need to do some reflection. And also it confirmed through certain books I've read and retreats I've gone on and different, ways of life that I've delved into, let me know that that's a truth, and that I should and can look at life in that way, which confirmed what my ancestors were transferring to me. So that's another thing. Look at what is that person saying and what is touching you the most. What is your mother saying to you and what's touching you most? And then look at where you're saying that within you and believe in that, because that's your ritual to healing. That's your tribal way of life. It's not stolen. It's not lost. It's in you. You just need to allow what you see as the pain to resurrect itself, so it can awaken, it can shock you and open up those engrams. So yeah, and I looked at myself and I was like, yeah, I feel like I don't deserve to know who my father is, and then I had to look at what false narrative I had created to say that was some kind of truth, and work on that. And then what happened is, eventually, when I was doing the reflecting, and when I did call her, or when she did call me, there was less from me. So she was still in her space of being, just in a space of rage and pain, which did concern me. And I did pray for her, because she's my mother at the end of the day. However, as individuals, it's our responsibility to realize and recognize when we're in that space and catch ourselves. Do you understand what I'm saying? There's only a certain amount that you can do for those people, or your mother, for example. So, the more and more I heard what she said, as though she was a side of me, is the more easier it has been for me to realize that I cannot have contact with her. It's just like when my son was playing up, acting like that and not catching yourself, rude boy. You've got to go. And when you've caught yourself, then you're more than welcome to come back. But And it's the same thing if you're in a relationship. It's the same thing when your kids are acting crazy. You've got to say to them, well, mate, I'm not being funny, but you're not listening to what I'm saying because you're in your age and you're in your thing. So go in your room and sit down. And when you've calmed yourself, come back. It's the same kind of it's the same kind of thing. And it's not because somebody's older than you, you know, that you need to be putting up with their childish ego, so to speak, you know, manifesting itself and trying to oppress you and hold you down. And I can vouch, I do not hate my mother. I actually call my mother on the occasions. I do what I'm comfortable doing. So I will call New Year's, I called her. I know she was shocked. And she tells people that I don't speak to her. But I'm not really bothered because I'm so secure in the reasons why I have chosen not to have contact. And that's the thing,
you have to have your peace when you make a choice like that. You have to. The longer you know that it's a part of your growth, you recognize that. You know what as well, Serena, I was listening to you, and there's another way that I chose to look at it as well, was I chose to see my mother as a little girl, a child. Because you know what happens is, because of our pain, we can dehumanize people. So we're taking out the certain soft aspects of them or the real aspects of them. Yeah. And so I chose to see my mother as a child. So a child's fear, a child's vulnerabilities, and all of that. And at times there are grown people walking around with adult bodies, but there's a child within, right? A hurt, damaged child, and they're stuck in that place, but your physical body has grown. And so sometimes we're expecting people to know better and do better. And you see what happens is, it's our expectations, because we've got a list of, a mother is this tick, she does that for you, tucks you up in bed, blah 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 blah. But I recognize that
we have this perception of how it's supposed to go in it.
Come from the pains that I've endured. A lot of my resilience has coming from that background. Why I'm the person that I am today is because I've come from that background. You know what I mean? And so if I had a fluffy life, I wouldn't be the Audrey that I am today. Because those trenches brought me. Those hard knocks brought me. And in reflection, when I rewind my own personal life back, I say to myself that Creator kept me through all of this. And what happened as well, which I didn't mention, was that I was very fortunate enough in that I met women a lot older than me who loved me. Because so when my mother wasn't loving on me, other women stepped in that. And so I grew up.
That's like me as well.
I grew up not thinking that all women are a particular kind of women, because I knew that there were loving and kind women. There were women who fed me when I was hungry. There were women who bathed my wounds when I was damaged. There were women out there that spoke love into my soul. There were women that lifted me up, and that was as a little child. And they loved me just because. And they were not relatives, some of them. Some of them were family. You know, my auntie was next door, yes. But there were other women that were no connection to me, that absolutely loved me just because. And I'm talking from the age of 5, 6 years old, who this one particular woman, Ivy Drysdale, and I'll never ever forget that woman. She was there for me, and I still continue to go and visit her in the nursing home now. You know, she was there. She loved me. I mean, when I got married, I had 3 women fighting to be the mother of the bride. I'm not one of them, my mother.
And with that said, you know, and looking at it from a positive perspective, you know, that shows you that spirit never forsakes us. That shows you that our ancestors never forsake us, because even when our own mother, who, you know, fed us from her own bosom, is not well enough, you know, or not able enough, or mentally stable enough to look after us and nurture us, the universe will send an abundance of other feminine energy that will step in and take her place, you know, either until she's able to, or up until whenever we need that, you know, because like the women that I know in my life, I can't even begin to describe the powerful women, you know, even in terms of me being able to access Mother Earth, you know, and the earth, wind, fire, you know, and spirit. I can't even begin to explain that. And that, I don't know if that's there because of the difficult relationship I have with my mum, but in a way, I still understand mother energy. So regardless whether I've got a difficult relationship with my mum or not, I still understand mother energy because of my relationship with Mother Earth and the other branches of her that have manifested through, you know, in human form, through the wonderful women that I have
Mother Earth
in my life.
Mother Earth has kept centered.
Regardless. And that's where faith comes in. That's exactly where faith comes in. So when you've chosen to have no contact with what you see as or what you perceive as the ultimate feminine energy, you've got to allow your ancestors' spirit to and see that there is a mother energy out there for you, and it's there in front of your face, but you're choosing not to see it that way because you are blinded by what society has given you as your mother, and what, you know, because she's your birth mother. I'm not saying that, you know, we shouldn't respect our mothers, but what I'm saying is that once that relationship is damaged, or, you know, whether it's for a short period of time or not, trust me, there's a substitute, you know, there. That's
I chose to be that woman. Because I met women like that. I chose, consciously chose to be that woman. So as I got older, I wanted to be there to support younger women, girls. And so I became that woman that I wanted in my life, you know. And so I have a whole host of younger women around me.
And that's another way that we can harness the energy and the frustration as well, by, you know, remembering that you're a woman and that there's a girl out there, or there's girls out there that need you to mother them in a particular way. Not even the fact that they've got a difficult relationship with their mothers. It could just be that you what you represent in their life is you know, it's just as beneficial, you know, and it's just as valid and necessary. I've had a lot of help from you. You know, I've got big sisters, Laura, and whoever else, and
it's beautiful.
I don't have older sisters, but I have older sisters in the sense that my friends are like my older sisters. You know, I don't have aunties. Well, auntie for your auntie.
But, you know, you see, the thing is now, I've become a mother to so many younger women. You know, I'm this mommy energy that I carry around with me now. You know, this nurturing energy.
Yeah, we call you the godmother. We call you the forgiveness godmother now.
Named by one of my clients.
Yeah.
At least she called me the forgiveness
there grandmother. You go. And I said she's right. Yeah, there she goes. She's right. You know, so it's difficult because you have to shift your mind from, you know, oh, I'm supposed to give all my energy to this one person. I have to. I'm supposed to have the best relationship ever with this one person, you know. But at the same time, if that's not possible, then it's a case of, you know, just stepping back and turning to Mother Earth and asking them to send you the mother energy, you know, even if it's within its sections rather than on a whole. And if you're not comfortable speaking to your mom, don't speak to her. Go through the healing process, and you'll listen to yourself, and you'll see how to reconnect with the mother energy. Sometimes, you know, that's what it is, especially when we're spiritual people. A lot of us are you know, like I said, our bio memories are awakening. So spirit has to send us situations that are going to get us to acknowledge the power of those engrams being activated. You know, so it's gonna manifest situations where your relationship with your mom's gonna be difficult, relationship with your sisters are gonna be difficult, your relationship with your career is gonna be difficult, money, prosperity, health, all those things, in order for you to recognize the value of your power, you know, and recognize the universe wholly. We are declaring that we are cosmic beings. So if we want to understand the cosmos and we want to respect everything about the cosmos, we can't be giving all of our energy to one element of energy.
I agree with you, Serena.
We can't be doing that. Do you get what I mean? In order for you to understand the mother energy, you have to experience it and appreciate it in its wholeness. And I guess that's what's awesome. So even if it's a case of us breaking away from our mothers from that aspect, so you can go out in the world and learn what mother energy is and express your own mother energy, you know, and then, you know, maybe hopefully you can reconciliate with your mom, but at the same time, that might not be your journey. Your journey might be to understand the mother energy from the whole cosmos. And how beautiful is that? And without you having that difficult relationship with your mom, you wouldn't go on that journey, because you'd be pouring it all in that. All into her. And it's not to say she don't deserve it, but it's not to say that
what it is.
It's an issue.
Totally what it is, you know. I've made peace with myself. I've made peace with myself. All the damage and all the trauma and all the drama, you know, and the thing is, how you choose to talk about the story as well can deflate it or inflate it. You know what I mean? Because like when I told my story about my mother, people were like, and I know I've written it in a book, but it wasn't about rehashing it. I actually used my past pain for healing and to share the healing to others. So it wasn't about woe is me for I am undone and singing the blues. That really wasn't where I'm at anymore. No, it's just a point of reflection. You know, of course I can look at myself and I can feel the damages and the this, and I had to go to hospital for various different things because of the past. But you know what? I'm still here. I'm still here. I'm still here, and that's something to be celebrated. And so for me, when I reflect on my past and look at my present, I realize that all of that is bringing me into my future, right? And so I celebrate me because I'm still in my right mind.
Yes, and that's what's important. Knowing that, you know, sometimes we make decisions that may not seem the norm to everyone else. However, you know, have that strength within yourself to know that, you know, I need to separate from this situation, but still remember that it's about healing within you, stepping away from that situation and connecting with people who can relate to and can give you a bit ahead of you, so that they can share their experiences and tell you what part of the process is normal and what the process is not normal, and, you know, just help you to recognize your power within that. Just before we end, I just want to you know, just highlight some of the points that we made in terms of the tips of healing, which I'll do mine, and then you can do yours as well. So basically, writing letters. So whenever you feel like you are in pain, write that letter down. Write it down, sorry, and just express it. Don't be conscious about swearing and what. If you want to put an F and a sh in there, just put it in, you know, because it's expressing it and you're not bringing any harm to anybody. So what's the problem? You know, no, and no one ain't going to read it anyway, and you can burn it. Number 2, so write down the negatives and the positives. So even when you do want to express your love, express it on that piece of paper. Then go and burn it and send it into the universe. We're cosmic beings. Everything is us and we're all one. So the message is going to get sent to wherever it's supposed to get sent to. Number 3, whatever that your mom is saying to you, note what touches you. So whatever touches you in your anandaganda, you know, or sorry, your in your stomach, whatever touches you, whatever resonates with you, that's a memory being recalled to be transformed. For example, when I said about, you know, I don't deserve to know who my dad is, that memory was activated and it was going over and over and over in my head. And I had to transform that, you know, in order for that to go back down, because I've asked for healing. I've asked to know myself. So these things are going to manifest. So look at it like that, rather than being at loggerheads continuously with your mum. Listen to what she's saying, write down what touches you, and transform those memories. And also connect with people who are like you, you know, and that's all I those are the few tips that I can remember that I've said. You've watched it, so if I've mentioned anything else that you're comfortable with doing, do that. And Audreya's got some tips as well.
I'm into the letter writing, so I love that you said that. But also to read the book For Agreements, go online, YouTube, and get it as audio. I love listening to audios when I'm cooking and doing my housework. So I'm doing two things. I'm listening and I'm doing whatever. That's good, because in there it's telling you, don't take things so personal. Also, Mother's Day is coming up. And I know that's tricky. It's going to be my first one. How weird is it that the woman who abused me is still my mother, and I loved my mother. You know, I didn't know any other mother. That was my mother, and it's going to be a tricky one. I'm not perceiving that it's going to be difficult, because I choose my words wisely. So I would say that it's going to be different, because in my 50-odd years, even when I wasn't speaking to my mother, I knew she was on the planet. So this is going to be the first one where she's not here. And I know, you know, some people have taken some simple things personally as well, and they haven't spoken to their parents. And that's the next thing, Serena. We've gone through a big journey, and we work, you know, you're working it out, and I had to work it out too. And some people have taken simple things. I'm saying, if it's something really, okay, things are personal and there's different levels of right? And I always tell people that is big, medium, and it's all
yeah.
You know what I mean? That's really what it is. And so I'm not listening what you feel, you know, saying that, okay, your mum didn't give you a cup of tea in bed, that's something, or you didn't get the toy
take
that you
yourself
wanted.
as well at the same time.
You know, we you know, like for myself, it was physical, broken ribs and stabs and head injuries where I had to go to the hospital. And I'm just saying that if I can overcome that just with love, give love a try, give forgiveness a go, you know, because how much better will your life be without the weight of that unforgiveness issue? How much more will you be, you know? And so release yourself, become Teflon coated, and let it all just fall off you, you know, just roll off. You know, and don't take it personal, because the person who's been the perpetrator, they've been damaged as well and hurt, and just choose to see them as a little child, scared, damaged little child. That way then you won't take it in your heart so, you know. But for those of you who are going to have a fantastic Mother's Day, make it even more, because we're still alive in this body. That's the important thing as well. And if there's something to celebrate, always celebrate life and send love.
Oh, and love and light. Thank you so much for coming at Dre and chatting with me about this. I'm going to do some more leading up to Mother's Day as well. So if there's anything more that you want to share. Oh, thank you for joining us at such short notice. You know, we're not in the habit of calling people's pain and then leaving them standing. You know, we have to have a level of integrity to the fact that people trust us with their pain. And I appreciate that. So, Nichan and Audreya, thank you so much.
Love, light, and upliftment to you all.
Oh, absolutely awesome. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm going to do some more regarding mothers coming up to Mother's Day and choosing non-contact, so we can explore some more areas of it. And I thank you so much for taking your time out to listen to us today. Love and light to you all. And, you know, stay blissful and true to who you are, and don't let nobody tell your story for you. Tell your story yourself. Okay, thank you so much. And if you need any support or anything, feel free to inbox me so we can talk about it further. I've got various programs where I help people who think that their traumas are affecting their progress. And it doesn't have to be that way. My trauma was affecting my progress for a very, very long time. Luckily enough, I, you know, submitted to that and realized that and decided, no, I'm not going to let that happen any longer. And I accessed the support that was out there for me, you know, because the law of the universe and the law of attraction is not in some faraway kingdom somewhere, which is unreachable. It's right here, right now in front of your face. You are the cosmic beings. You are the spiritual beings. You don't need anyone to tell you what your gift is, but what you might need is someone to make you feel comfortable and guide you on that journey to embracing your gift and understanding the law of the universe according to what you've experienced and what your ancestors have experienced. Because even though we are all one and we are mankind or humankind or womankind, and we all share different realities, sometimes we need to see our future selves and speak to those who are a bit more ahead of us in order to feel comfortable with who we are in the moment and be who we are at the next stage of that. So, Ichin and thank you so much, people. Love you loads. Bye.